Hey guys, quick video. So a few years ago I bought these relatively inexpensive upper control arms for my truck. They've done great, they've done really well, but like most aftermarket upper control arms, they have poly bushings, you know, the two bushing has with an inner sleeve that you kind of assemble once you get them shipped to the house before you install them. And poly bushing's cool. I mean, they're rebuildable, they're greasable. You can do that if you want to. I mean, if you're into all that maintenance stuff, they work. A lot of aftermarket manufacturers sell these upper control arms or their version of these upper control arms, whether they're sheet metal or tube, but they send them with poly bushings. These are just under 2 years old, and I'm going to show you what they're doing. Try to do this the best I can. There we go. So the bushings are shot. Now I could call the manufacturer up, hey, I need another set of those poly bushings. And I don't know how long they've been like that. I just started noticing a little bit of a pop when I turned and went other places. Sorry, the garage is kind of a mess. Going through a little bit of a 6-liter Chevrolet motor build for this Jeep, which will be like forever from now. But pretty excited about it. So what you have in front of you guys is Rough Country 1959. I know Rough Country gets drugged through the coals about quality control or whatnot, but I think they really have hit the nail on the head for everybody that wants to run a 2011 to 2017 2500, 3500 truck with a leveling kit on it. If you do these trucks, guys, you don't have to run out and buy like a 4-inch suspension kit and then lower it all the way. Up to 3 inches on these trucks on a leveling kit, you know, 1-inch diff drop spacers, longer shocks, upper control arms, and you're fine. I would buy a bigger, I think I've got PPE tie rod ends on the truck, and they have a bigger ball, so they handle that misalignment that you get to in the steering. But they work really good. But bang for the buck, I think Rough Country and is killing it with these control arms, guys. I think they're about $400, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. I ordered these from eBay on their scratch and dent store for $2.99. They hadn't been installed, they were just returned. I mean, you would see scratching and stuff of those getting pushed in and out of the frame brackets on the truck. Still has the cap on the ball joint end. Their tube, the scratch and dent stuff is, you know, through shipping, they may get scratched up on the powder coating, and Rough Country just knocks the price down and puts them on the eBay store to just probably clear the shelves. So keep an eye out there or just order a brand new set. Rough Country's really good about their warranty. I've always had great success with them. I've run 4-wheel drive shops, and we've actually installed a lot of these kits. We've installed a lot of the other brands that are out there, Cognito, Zone, all those names that have aftermarket control arms for the, you know, IFS 2500 trucks. And they all work great. I think the Rough Country work just as awesome as the other guys. I think that in a lot of ways they beat out a lot of the other guys because they're not running poly bushings, which are, you know, they're prone to fail earlier, more premature than a cleveite bushing like what Rough Country's running. And these come with a Moog ball joint. So, if you can see that, that's 669. So if you Google Moog 669, it's going to give you a Moog part number and a Moog ball joint. You can go get these Moog replacement parts at any of the like Advanced O'Reilly's, wherever, off the shelf. Should these ball joints wear out over time? Which they probably will. I mean, they're a wearable item, but that's a long time away. I mean, Moog is a great replacement part brand. I think most of you guys that are mechanics or spent time wrenching, you know, if you go to a parts store, dealership, or whatever, you're trying to source steering parts, you go with Moog if you can. They're generally more expensive, but they're a better quality than your typical parts store off-the-shelf generic brand. But that's cool that Rough Country throws in a replaceable Moog ball joint, replaceable cleveite bushings. Now, these have a Tenneco incorporated cleveite bushing. There's part number and everything on those bushings, so you can source the frame side clevites. But you're talking about these will go 100, 120, 150,000 miles probably before you have to replace them again. These are exactly what the OEM control arm has in them, and they will run forever before you have to wear these out. And they're going to be a little bit tighter. They're going to hold and cornering a little bit better because they're elastomer versus the polymer just squishes. And something about here's something for you guys to think about when you're talking about greasing bushings and putting a Zerk fitting on like a polymer bushing, whether they're control arms for a Jeep or torsion bars for a truck or upper control arms for a truck or something like that. When you take that grease and you've got 2 bushings that are pressed inside of a piece of DOM or whatever, a can, what have you, and you've got a sleeve in it and it's got a zerk fitting on top. When you take your grease gun and they're sitting on your truck installed, you pump grease in them every time you service your truck. Well, that grease has got to go somewhere. If it doesn't run out the sides, what happens is it actually pushes the polymer down. And actually, causes the polymer to cave or give a little bit, and it creates space. Over time, that polymer will gain memory. It'll learn. And over time, that actually, over-greasing those trucks with zerk fittings in the same spot, if the grease channels in the bushings aren't free or cleared, if you start just pumping grease in them, you can actually over-grease and damage those types of bushings. Just some FYI for you guys. And that's true story. That's the gospel. It's in the Bible. But these control arms are Rough Country. They've got Cleveite bushings in them, Moog ball joints. You can go to the store and buy them. They are side specific. So one of these fits the left side, one of these fits the right side of the truck. As you can tell, they've got the corrected geometry in them for the raised lift kit, or the leveling kit, I'm sorry. So on a leveling kit on an IFS truck, you've got control arms. So let's just say we're looking at the front of the truck. This is the passenger control arm looking in. When you turn the torsion keys up, you push the suspension down. And those control arms, they travel with the truck that way. They move in and down. And what happens is, as that goes like this, the ball joint that's down here is pulling all the way out as hard as it can, just screaming, locked in one place. The other thing that these do is they have an arch, a higher arch in them. If you'll notice, your factory control arms, they're flat. Well, on the frame of your truck, there's a frame stop. I'll walk back out here and show you. So you can kind of see it on these. I've got this tire off the ground. And you can see that I still have space before my control arm hits the frame stop. You really probably should run, some really heavy duty shocks or some limiting straps if you feel like you're going to be running the truck hard and you're going to be, hitting match down travel all the time. You kind of want to stop the suspension. That's what this is designed to do. It's designed to stop the control arm when the suspension goes full droop. For a daily driver, you're probably okay. But again, that's your choice. But you can see this gap is still there. On a factory control arm, there's no arch in the tube. It's just flat. It's just a wishbone or a U-shaped control arm that runs down to the ball joint. Well, as you crank that truck up and push those control arms down, they get closer to the frame stops. So once you get your torsion bars turned up and you start running down the road and you hit a bump, the suspension comes up and then it comes back down and it slams. And that's that real harsh feeling when you go for a ride in a freshly equipped dealership truck. It's just got torsion keys on it. A lot of times I don't even run shock spacers in them. You know how many of them trucks I've seen come into the shop that have just torsion keys on them. No longer shocks or no longer spacers. I'm running Bilstein 5100s on this truck. They've been awesome. But it just winds up destroying the steering geometry, the steering binds, the suspension binds. It's a harsh ride. So the 3 real big things you need for a leveling kit, other than the torsion keys, are longer shocks, upper control arms with corrected ball joint geometry and an arch to clear the frame stops, and diff drop spacers. On this truck, sorry, I'm going a little bit more further in depth than this. I was just going to do a review of those. You see I have steel spacers right here. So there's 4 of those. These are the bushings. They're Cleveite as well, like those control arms, that hold the whole front diff and the front section of the truck to the frame. This kit is their steel bushings, steel spacer. They came with grade 8 bolts. It lowers the center section 1 inch and gets you some pretty good CV axles angle. My truck's at full droop and it looks like CV axles of just factory trucks with just keys on them. So you don't have to run out there and buy, I see a lot of these guys all the time. I got a 5-inch such and such lift and it's turned all the way down. Why? You can do a 2.5-inch, 3-inch leveling kit on these trucks and run 305s or 33 1250s without doing all of that and be fine. But trends and fads are fads. So needless to say, if you're in the market and if you just want to do like a daily driver truck, you want the ride quality back, you want a decent set of control arms,
I really think you're going to find it hard to beat Rough Country on those upper control arms. Most of the other guys have those control arms are, I mean, I've seen them $800,000 for a set of sheet metal control arms. These are tube, probably DOM or something or other they bend in Tennessee, make, weld, gusset, bracket up. And again, parts are important, replacement parts for them, easy to source. Go to Parts Store Advanced or O'Reilly's and buy ball joints and bushings for these. And Rough Country's lifetime warranty on them. They're really easy. I don't know if I mentioned it before in the video. I may have, but these came off of Rough Country's eBay scratch and dent store. So somebody buys some parts, doesn't like them, never installs them, sends them back. You know, the powder coat or something scratched up when they receive back at Rough Country for inspection. Rough Country throws them in their scratch and dent store. These were $2.99 is what I paid for them on eBay. So if you want to take a chance that way, go ahead. If you want to buy a brand new set, go ahead. But Rough Country still stands behind their product on their warranty stuff, even with these. So I don't think they'll return a scratch and dent one because they've already been returned one time. I mean, they'd be losing their butts in the return game if they were returning scratch and dent stuff. But I'm pretty sure they'd ante up to the warranty claim on, you know, keeping it and replacing it if you had good evidence of structural failure of one of these, but I doubt it. So for you guys in the market for the upper control arms for 2011 to 17, 2500, 3500 GM trucks, man, check them out. I really think they hit the nail on the head, and I think they've done a great job with these guys. Again, that's part number 1959. So another one of these awesome Photoshop edited videos I shoot from my phone here in the shop, you know. But thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, really. If you have any questions or comments, man, leave them, and I'll answer them the best I can. Thank you, guys.